Time to wake up. It's Saturday morning. Find some milk and cereal. Grab a bowl and spoon. No, a bigger spoon. Head to the living room and take a seat on the floor while Joseph and Chris present to you Saturday Morning Cartoon!
Hello everybody, welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoon Boom! This is a show where we wake up with the Saturday morning sun, plop down on the floor with a big bowl of sugary cereal, and watch our favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
And this morning, we watched Ronin Warriors.
Ronin Warriors! And I got my voice back. I can talk now. Hi.
You did. Welcome back, voice of Chris.
Yeah. Welcome back, voice.
I think you were missed. We'll see.
No, probably not.
Yeah, and kind of nondescript theme song here. It's not like it's saying about the Ronin Warriors or anything. I don't even think there were lyrics. There were lyrics, but
There's
was just
lyrics,
talking about
but it
like
has nothing to do with the show.
It's talking about like the strength of your spirit and stuff like that. I don't know.
This is another one of those like perfect anime intros where everyone's just standing around, like looking into the distance,
very stoically
while like this music plays. Yeah, like every anime intro ever. So this one definitely like it hits exactly the notes it needs.
And there's just rose petals flying everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's got to be some sort of rose petals or else it's not an anime. You can't make it an anime unless, there's random flowers and crap.
Yeah.
Just flying around while you look over, at nothing at all.
And with the title Ronin Warriors, you would think that there would be more battle or something in the intro.
More warrior. Yeah.
More warrior. No, just flowers.
Just flowers. And this was suggested by Will Denson. So thank you, Will.
Will Denson, thank you.
Will Denson.
Will Denson.
You sound like you could be like one of those lawyers that just like randomly calls people and is just like, have you had any back injury due to like plunging your neighbor's toilet? Like you might be entitled to some cash.
Will Denson, attorney at law.
Will Denson. Man.
So the show Ronin Warriors ran from 88 to 89 in Japan. Originally the manga was created by Hajime Yatate, and the anime was directed by Masashi Aikida for episodes 1 through 19, and Mamoru Hamatsu for episodes 20 through 39. Produced in Japan by Sunrise. It doesn't say entertainment, it just says Sunrise. So produced by the Sunrise, the actual Sunrise produced this in Japan. Yeah. In the US, it was produced by Graz Entertainment. It ran for 39 episodes on the Nagoya Broadcasting Network in Japan, and in the US, it didn't run until 95. Like I said, it came out in 88. It ran from 88 to 89 in Japan, but in the US in 95 is when it came here. First run syndication, Sci-Fi Channel, and then Cartoon Network Toonami. And for a short synopsis, after 1,000 years of exile, Talpa, ruler of the Netherworld, returns to claim the Earth as his own. The only thing that can stop him and his minions are 5 young men in their mythical suits of armor.
And a tiger.
Oh yeah,
and a small child that they kidnap.
He doesn't save anybody. Well, actually, I guess he does at the end in a way.
Kind of, yeah.
I don't know. We'll talk about it.
But like when you said that this came over to the United States in 95, that makes a lot of sense, and I'll get into that once we start talking about the episodes.
So who were some of the actors who played in this show?
All right, so we will have Japanese and an American cast, so I'll get into that. So Rio of the Wildfire. These guys have awesome names. Rio of the Wildfire. In Japan, it was voiced by Takeshi Kusao. And then in English, Matt Hill. Kento of the Hard Rock. In Japan, it was voiced by Tomohiro Nishimura. And in English, Jason Gray Stanford and Ward Perry. Sai of the Torrent. Japanese was voiced by Nozomu Sasaki. And in English, Michael Donovan. Michael Donovan was also the English voice actor for this next character, Sage of the Halo, who in Japan was Daiki Nakamura. Rowan of the Strata. Strata? Sure, Strata. Oh, like clouds. Yeah, Rowan of the Strata. Japan was voiced by Hiroshi Takemura. And then in English, Ward Perry, who also voiced Kento at some point. Yeah, okay. Mia in Japanese was voiced by Kaori Kusakabe, and in English, Leilania Lindbergh and Terrell Rothery. Whew, all these names, man. Even the English names on that one were rough. The character of Yuli, Japan was Kumiko Watanabe, and in English, Christopher Turner. And then finally, Talpa, Emperor of Destiny. Talpa, Emperor of the Dynasty, was in Japan, Shigezo Sasauka, and in English, Mina. Seriously, this guy's name was Mina. Spelled the same way. First and last name.
Huh.
Either he is weird, like real weird, or his parents just hated him. They're like taking bets on how quick their kid will get beat up.
Poor guy. Poor Mina.
Exactly.
So for a few tasty marshmallows out of our big bowl of Ronin Warrior cereal, Yoroiden Samurai Troopers was the original name in Japan, which translates to Legendary Armor Samurai Troopers. So a little less catchy than Ronin Warriors, I guess.
A little bit.
The series was released on DVD in 2002, including the original Japanese version with English subtitles on the reverse side of the disc. In addition to this anime, there were 3 direct-to-video sequels that were produced. Gaiden, which is side story, Kikote Densetsu, which is the Legend of the Solar Armor, and Message is the third one, literally just called Message. And these weren't just like a single movie. They were kind of like mini series. They were like 2 to 5 episodes each. So something to catch if you really enjoy this show and want to see sequels to it.
Nice.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. And what's interesting about this show in particular, and we'll probably talk about it more, is like normally when we step into a show like this, like with say Gotcha Man, Battle of the Planets or Sailor Moon, it's one of those things where they sacrifice a lot for the English version and you're missing out on a lot of the story. In this one, it seems like the Japanese version was tame enough to where they didn't have to do that. And you see even when you were reading the names, like the names weren't changed. They really didn't cut out much, if any, of the midsection, like violent parts or whatever. I don't know for sure that there wasn't anything cut out, but as I was looking around for it, I couldn't find anything that was like, actual version of this is way different than the, English version. I didn't see any of that. I'm sure the dialogue is way different because the English dialogue at certain points is just really terrible. I'm like pretty positive the dialogue changed. Yeah, but as a whole, and they probably, overlap scenes here and there to try to make the dialogue work. But as a whole, the core of the story stays the same. And that's kind of unique for animes that were brought over to the US. Definitely. So what you're saying is we didn't ruin it completely. Yeah, I don't think so, except with our weird voice actor choices. Yeah. Not even the voice actors. It's not their fault. It's the delivery choices. Well, yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, do you have any memories of this show? Have you heard of it before? I'd heard of it and I knew nothing about it. So like I was kind of excited to get to this one specifically because I've heard of it before, and just the name itself, I was like, that sounds cool. I'm excited. Yeah, it's kind of the same for me. Like I'd heard about it before, but I think back in, I don't know, the 90s when it would have come to the US, I was watching so many other animes and stuff. So it just kind of slipped under my radar. So I knew about the name. I was familiar with the look of the characters, but I knew nothing about the premise. So it was cool to jump into it. Yeah, I didn't even know like what the characters looked like. I just knew that they wore different colored armors. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I wasn't disappointed by that. They do wear different colored armor. That's very true. That is a fact. Yeah, that one lived up to its expectations. So let's go ahead and jump into the episodes we watched for today's show. The first episode, highest rated episode, and finally a random listener chosen episode. Order may vary depending on how this episode's fall chronologically, but of course we have to start with the very first episode, which was Shadowland, season 1, episode 1. And and in the version that I watched, I think it literally like the intro doesn't even say Ronin Warriors. I don't think. I think it still says Legendary Armor Samurai Troopers or something. I honestly didn't really catch it. I don't remember what it said, but you might be right. Yeah, so maybe I missed the Ronin Warrior intro, but I don't think it went. Oh yeah, that was another thing, is like a lot of the music got preserved too, which was cool. Yeah, because it was in Japanese. I remember that. Well, you know, actually in this, I've seen this in other animes before. The songs, like the lyrics of the songs, I think both the first and the end song for the show go back and forth between Japanese and English. So there'll be like mostly Japanese, and every once in a while there's like a couple phrases in English, and I'm like, I don't get it. Yeah. I don't understand. Except that I know that over there
they can speak English, and we're the dumb ones that don't know Japanese. So
true. So this one starts out with, you just kind of see laughter, a large shadow over a city and laughter, and you don't know who it is. So we run into Mia and her grandfather, and this is your basic intro episode. You know, I'm not going to go into all the details of it, but in this scene, you know, Mia's grandfather is basically just spouting nonsense. He's just like Wildfire, Hard Rock, Halo, Strata. He's just like saying words, and we don't know what they mean at the time. And then he's talking about how the world may end today and all this mess. Then we see it jumps over to a scene with Yuli, who is, his parents are getting him a new skateboard, and he says smoking or something. And so like he rides off. We're introduced to Ryo and the White Tiger, whose name was White Blaze, I think.
yeah,
The city's freaking out. The cops are like telling him to stop, and he's just there. And Mia's grandfather is telling her like, oh, it's, you know, the appearance of the Ronin Warrior. If he's already here, then the demons must be here as well.
This cracked me up because I was just thinking, like, how high is this old man? He sees a kid with a tiger, and he's like, a Ronin Warrior.
Well, I mean, he's right. So
I know, it just seems so like something super senile. Like next he'd be like, granddaughter, please, you must fill your socks with chocolate pudding and dance around him in a full circle, but no further. It's the only way. Yes, grandfather.
she's supposed to be, I didn't really get, and maybe it's because she got kind of shortchanged in the episodes that we watched. I didn't really get what her purpose was. I didn't really get what Yuli's purpose was. It's just like,
I think they just kidnap Yuli. I mean,
it's like to have a girl and a little kid on the team is really the only reason they were there. They were just placeholders because they didn't do anything. Supposedly, she's supposed to be like really knowledgeable about everything that's going on, but I didn't see her help much. I saw her in danger a lot, and same with Yuli.
yeah, I wasn't sure of that either. And yeah, we didn't get to see what her real purpose was supposed to be because, like, you know, at first I thought, okay, maybe she's going to be the one that, like, she knows what's going on because of her crazy old grandfather, and she's going to bring all of them together. But turns out they're, like, already friends. Like, they already know each other and stuff. And
yeah, it was a weird intro.
Like, oh,
it was a weird intro episode in that way because they already know each other. They already have their armors. They're already a pre-formed team. So it's like maybe there was an intro episode that was kind of within the other episodes that we didn't get, not an intro, but like an origin story episode of how this came to be, how these teens, I guess they were chosen, or these young men. Right. So, but we don't get to see that at all in the first episode. It's just like, here we are, we're the Ronin Warriors.
Strapping lads.
Strapping young men, yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah. And then a bad guy pops out of a big old TV, like the girl from The Ring.
Yeah. This demon warrior comes out, and he looks pretty cool. He's a big guy, green armor, kind of a big scythe thing, I guess. And
he's got a big old weapon.
Thing's huge. This is when we find out that Ryo doesn't stand a chance against him. He's a pretty strong dude. And then we get introduced to his 4 friends, the other Ronin Warriors.
I gotta say, this is some of the lamest dialogue I've ever seen or heard. I didn't see it, I heard it. But like when some of the guys shows up, like one of them shows up and he's like, trust is my symbol. And another one jumps off a building. It's like, my power seeks wisdom.
Oh, yeah.
What?
The intro's so weird. A lot of these, I mean, I wrote a couple things down with some of the dialogue later, but it feels really weird and out of place.
Oh my gosh.
Almost like a very poor translation.
The thing that I wanted to bring up, like when we were talking earlier, and it'll probably come up a few more times as we talk, but like the way they talk, not only their voices, so like the voices the voice actors provided them, but the things they say and stuff like that, like because this came over to the United States in 95 and the whole 90s dude was a big thing for American cartoons, you can tell that that's what they tried to do for this show, because like they're like talking and saying things that are kind of imitating the way that other like American cartoons are talking, and it does not work very well. It just sounds really stupid.
Yeah, that's why Yuli was like smoking, like
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh man.
And even like the bad guy talks like an evil surfer dude. the guy that pops out with a big scythe. And because at that one point when he sees Mia, he's like, "This was a private affair, but since you dressed for the occasion, come join us." And I'm like, this is the dumbest.
He doesn't sound like he looks like he should at all.
Not at all.
Like they put a slight echo on his voice to make him seem like he's in his big armor, but otherwise, like he doesn't have. Like when I see this dude, I expect like a deep kind of gravelly voice, and he does not have that. He has like a surfer dude in armor voice, like you said.
Like something like this.
That would be better than what we got.
Instead, he's like, Ronin Warriors, I'm going to get you. You're just like,
the dynasty is radical. Oh.
Emperor Talpa will destroy you, and it's going to be tubular. You know? It's like, oh God, like it wouldn't be out of place for him to say it the way he sounded.
No, not at all. I agree. So you already said the names of them, but I'll just repeat. So it's Rowan of the Armor Strata, who is blue. You've got Kinto of Hard Rock, who's orange. Sai of the Torrent, who's kind of a light blue. Sage of the Halo, green, and then Ryo, who we already introduced to. Ryo of the Wildfire in red.
He's red.
Yeah,
because fire is red.
Of course. Of course.
And he's the Wildfire. He used to play bass for them back in the 80s.
What was, I guess I didn't get some of their, what is Sage of the Halo? What is his thing?
Don't know, man.
Like, is he just like a...
I don't even think they know.
So all five together, and then even all together, they're getting beaten by this one minion. And then you're like, oh man, like this team is terrible. Like, this is like a foot soldier in Shredder's army, and he is taking them all out with no problem.
Well, it's weird too because there will be a thing where like they all attack him like at different times, and he's like barely blocking it. But then they all stop doing their gymnastics for 2 seconds. They are very accomplished gymnasts, by the way. Like they're just jumping around and flipping all over the place and doing crazy dance moves. But like then they'll all like hold still and let him hit each of them individually. And they're like, ugh, and then fall over. And they're getting beaten. I'm like, well, no wonder you're getting beat. You guys are just standing there waiting for it.
Oh, okay, so if you think of it like Power Rangers, this is like them fighting one of the monsters in their normal form, like without morphing. And then we see, they can morph kind of like they can get
like why didn't they do that from the get-go?
Right, why don't they come into a fight like this instead of just their themed clothing?
That's like going to a gunfight and waiting to get shot first before you pull out your gun. And then you're like, oh, well, I guess I'll get the actual gun out now.
Right.
Now that my sticks aren't working.
I forgot that I literally had a bazooka on my back. Let me pull that out real
exactly.
quick.
Well, I guess I'll use it. Some of the like, I don't know, some of the dialogue seemed just disjointed here between the characters. So like there was like one line where one of the characters was just like, oh, like your master, or no, he's like, how could you be so cruel? And the guy's just like, cruel? I've only just begun. And I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Like if it would make sense if he said you're finished and then be like, finished, I've only just begun. But that doesn't make any sense the way they did it.
Cruel. I want a hamburger really badly.
Yeah, right, exactly. He's just saying stuff at this point. Yeah. But like, for whatever reason, like Ryo gets all angry and the others just kind of hang out. And then Ryo just somehow immediately demolishes this guy.
Yeah.
And the others don't do anything. They just watch.
Yeah, they just let him do his super move, like flare. He says like flare up or something. I can't remember what the words were, but. And then
it's not flame on, is it?
No.
Flame on.
And then he toasts the guy. And I liked his death line where he's just like, dark warlords, I have failed you.
Yeah, that was great.
And then we go back to the laughter again that we saw from the beginning of the episode. And then we get introduced to, because this is about, I don't know, halfway through the episode maybe. So you're like, well, where could it go from here? And then we get introduced to the 4 warlords who are under the Emperor Talpa. And they are Anubis, who is master of cruelty, Kale, warlord of corruption.
Kale, I always knew Kale was evil.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes my throat scratchy when I eat it.
Well, it's being corrupted, clearly.
It has been.
Sekhmet, warlord of venom, and Deus, warlord of illusion. And I gotta say, like, some of these enemies look really cool.
Their designs are cool.
Their voices weren't great, but
nope. It's a very common theme in this show.
Yeah, exactly. But the designs were awesome.
Yes.
They just start threatening them and saying, well, Anubis, he's the leader of them, and basically just telling them that the reign of the dynasty is going to begin. We see like a kind of a silhouette, not a silhouette, but we see like a Talpa's head appear in the sky, and he looks like he looks like he has pink cat armor on.
Just a big old floating cat.
Just a big old floating
the chair cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty much what he is.
And at the end, we get these scenes where it's kind of telling you like what's going to happen on the next, or just what's going on. It rounds up the episode 4. You're just like, will the Ronin Warriors have what it takes to save humanity?
Also, like Talpa like creates this giant tower right in the middle of this downtown area, and there's these crazy clouds everywhere, and
but it's like you can't get to it. Yeah,
it's like in the tower.
It's like in the sky. It goes all the way up to the sky at least.
Can't find the door.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean that's a good way to jump into the next episode, which really directly correlates to that, where it's the Ancients Battle, Season 1, Episode 15. This is Will's suggestion, actually, and it was a good one. I'm glad he suggested this because it gave me some context. And
yeah, we got a little bit here, and it was, you know, like all 3 of the episodes we watched kind of like, I don't know, they flowed well, the 3 of these together. Like obviously we're missing things, but
yeah, I feel like we get that a lot. Like not a lot, but like we luck out like that where we're able to get 3 episodes that link really well. And this is no exception, because we start to see some dissension in the enemy ranks. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, especially because we got Anubis here, and Anubis is like, his voice sounds like a mix between the Shredder and Starscream.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
He's got a real weird voice.
I mean, it's just a random guy laying on the ground to us at first because we don't know who it is since we didn't see the previous episode. But we find out it's Anubis unmasked, and he's just a handsome, long-haired dude. It's like, oh, okay, so this is just... this is that kind of show. We also see the Ancient One, who is basically Raiden from Mortal Kombat.
He does look like Raiden.
Yeah, but not Mortal Kombat the video game, but Mortal Kombat the movie, where he's got like the long white hair, but he has that hat on. We still see Yuli and Mia there, so they clearly weren't one-off characters, unfortunately. They're still here.
That's why I was like, did they steal this kid? Like, I was joking at first in the first episode, but I'm like, why is this child still there? We saw he has parents.
Yeah, it's like, that was a question I had, is like, what happened to his parents? I thought they were fine. He just ran off from them. Is he...
But they like talk about his parents later too. And I'm like,
they do.
So they're still alive.
Right, but I don't know what happened to them. Maybe that's something we get later, but it's probably just an excuse to keep this kid around to, I don't know, make it fun. I don't know what his purpose was.
Yeah, let's not get into that.
No. Yeah, so we've got the Ancient One or the Ancient. He's just a sage dude. They just call him different things, either the Ancient One or the Ancient. And we find out here that Talpa can control armor and the power of this armor with evil. So all of these armors have a certain characteristic to them of the spirit. And we find out Anubis's was loyalty, but loyalty, when corrupted, can follow the wrong leaders. And in this case, his loyalty is being geared towards Talpa. And that's when we find out that all the armors are the same. Even the ones that the Ronin Warriors have are the same as the ones with the Dark Warlords, but they're just being used by different sides.
Yeah, it's just kind of like those armors were like, what the armors stand for, like the essence of it, have been temporarily corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first sign that we're just like, oh crap. So like Talpa, used his magics and stuff like that to kind of warp the sense of those armors. So like those guys are being affected by it. So I'm like, well, for one, so the warlords might not actually be all bad. And for two, that means Talpa could potentially corrupt the Ronin Warriors as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's really interesting wrench to throw in the mix here, because before, coming into it, it just looks very black and white. Like, these are good guys, these are bad guys. And this is a good gray area that it's like, oh, okay, this makes it really intriguing, actually.
One thing that I was confused about, and maybe it's just because we're missing something. So I guess, Anubis defected, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
And so the other warlords come after him because Talpa's like, I need that armor, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just kind of like, Well, like, I don't know. I was confused because I thought maybe Talpa was going to do something with the armor. I'm like, why didn't he do his thing with the armor when Anubis was under his control? But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, never mind. I think I understand what's going on. Is he needs Anubis back to make sure that he doesn't defect, because he also needs to get the Ronin warriors to his side as well. So he needs all of them. Because apparently original, like, all 9 armor, which I thought was weird that they did 9 and not 10, but whatever.
Yeah.
But all 9 armor, I guess, once belonged to Talpa, like all of them. So I think that's an interesting thing. So I guess that he needs all of them to be all powerful, I guess.
I think so. And that makes me wonder if Talpa was always evil. I mean, they come from the Netherworld, which generally is not a great place, but these other guys, the warlords, also come from the Netherworld, and they don't seem like bad guys. They're just following the wrong person. Right. So there's a little bit that's confusing to me, but I think that probably would be explained more in other episodes.
And then we get the Ancient One's just like, yo, you guys need to infiltrate that castle downtown.
Yeah, that's exactly what he says. Yo, you guys need...
Yo, fam, we need to get up in that castle and represent. So, like, he leaves them when they're not paying attention, and he goes and literally just kind of rattles his cane around until someone notices him. Talpa's like, what are you doing out here? And he's like, rattling my cane.
Yeah.
And then Talpa's like, well, I'm going to kill you. And he does.
Yep.
But that opens the bridge. Like, I get the feeling this was like a Megatron Optimus Prime sort of thing, where like Talpa and the Ancient One have been doing battle for a very, very, very long time.
Oh, yeah.
So this was just like, I think the Ancient One knew this is how he was going to go, and he's been waiting probably centuries for this to happen.
Let me tell you one of my favorite dialogue lines in this episode.
Oh, yes.
So Talpa is explaining to the other warlords that he needs to get this armor back. And they're asking him questions like, why are you so concerned about this armor? Like, what's the big deal? And then one of them just screams out of nowhere. He's just like, please, master, what is this power? And
I do remember that.
It trails on forever. And then he just like shocks them all in anger. And he's just like, it's beyond your understanding.
They're annoying.
Yeah. Basically, you wouldn't understand. And the delivery of that line just made me think, why? He wasn't doing anything to you there. If he was shocking you while you were doing that, I'd be like, okay, I guess. I mean, that delivery is acceptable, but just out of nowhere, just because you're curious about this armor, why?
I think, this is some lost in translation crap going on here, honestly. Yeah. But, I mean, we did learn things from this episode. Like, if you ever need a bridge, kill an old man.
Yeah.
And then you can get where you want to go.
Just make sure he's wearing one of those rice hats.
He needs a straw hat.
Straw rice hats, and then, he's good to go.
Yep.
So they take Anubis back in kind of a weird, abrupt way. It's like they're fighting, the warlords confront him, and then the Ronins come to the rescue, and they're just like, we're out, and the red lightning strikes, and Anubis just disappears with them. So
yeah, they all turn into little like glowing orbs of light and then shoot into the air.
Yeah.
That happens a lot in this one.
Yeah, and then, so like you said, the Ancient One fights Talpa. They're talking about virtue, justice, wisdom, trust, and life force. I guess that's what Halo is life force. Maybe it's just life in general. It's kind of the heart of this if we're looking at it like Captain Planet.
It's really lame.
Yeah, exactly.
One.
That's what I meant.
It's the worst one.
And so now it's like wrapping up the episode. There's nothing to stop them from storming Talpa's dark domain. And it's like, okay, great. But this is episode 15 and there's 39 episodes. So
right.
This feels like one of the ending episodes, or it should have been. It's like, what happened in between where they got to the castle? Did they just get kicked out or something? It's like, no entry. Like, I don't understand. Like, so the Ancient One sacrificed himself, but for what? If they weren't able to even do anything.
Yeah, true.
But then again, like, we didn't see the next couple episodes. We're not sure.
Yeah, getting into this next episode, Triumphant Warriors, I have an assumption of what happened, but go ahead and give us the synopsis for that.
Well, I don't have the synopsis, but...
Fine.
So Triumphant Warriors is season 1, episode 39. This was the highest rated episode and also the very last episode. And it was a good episode, but I don't get a lot of the connection. I don't know what happened between episodes 16 and 38. exactly,
Yes.
but this one feels like it could have almost been linked to episode 15 as well.
Exactly.
Very easily.
Well, so this is my guess. My guess is that they defeated him in his tower or whatever, but he's just a big floating cat head, right?
Yeah.
So, like, to really, truly defeat the guy, they got to go to his home turf. They got to go into the Netherworld. And I think that's where this takes place.
Well, no, it doesn't.
At least part of it.
Maybe part of it, because we also see the Netherworld kind of leaking into the real world, too, where the spirits start coming out. Like, we get the guy with the like from Big Trouble in Little China who comes out.
He's a very ambiguously gay spirit. Just the way he talks is cracking me up.
And he comes out and starts summoning these other spirits who I guess are just flying around. I don't see them really bothering anybody. They're just scary looking.
They make everybody mad. Everyone gets all upset.
That's true. They get all greedy. And so the humans here, basic humans, are pretty terrible, as humans tend to be. And
yeah, I mean, it's not wrong.
No, it's pretty accurate in that sense.
We also got to see this hot goth girl named Kyra fighting. Well, we can see the actual physical version of Talpa, and this dude's huge.
Oh, Talpa is very gigantic, which is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, there's this eclipse going on, and we see like basically this is the countdown timer.
Seems like it, yeah. It seems a pretty desperate like thing to, and well, not desperate. It seems really epic because you see Kyra fighting against Talpa, but not only Kyra, like I guess all of the warlords have now turned against them and they're helping her. Like they're all fighting Talpa at once. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, I really liked that. Like that was one of the most,
me too.
That was one of the most powerful things about this show for me. One of my favorite things was that these enemies didn't just stay like pointless lackeys. Like they had depth to them.
Yes, exactly. Back in the human world. So that, remember the first episode, I said there's like that big old TV thing on a building downtown and the bad guy popped out of it. Mm-hmm. It keeps happening. Like bad guys keep popping out of that dang screen. Like take it down.
Unplug the TV. Come on. Yeah. It's The Ring. It's Poltergeist. It's just like, come on, just shut the TV off.
Yeah.
Just do what they did at the end of Poltergeist. Like wheel it out of the room.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like rub a balloon on it and like mess it up.
Right. Yeah.
That probably, well, back then maybe that would still happen. When I was a kid, I busted a TV doing that by accident.
I didn't know that could happen, so that's interesting.
You know those foil balloons?
Oh, yes.
There was something with that, and like, I don't know, like I rubbed it against an old TV once, and my parents yelled at me and the TV stopped working.
Oh.
That's all I remember.
That's
all I remember.
And now you can never look at those foil balloons without thinking that.
But I don't know if I actually did something or if it's like maybe I was just annoying them and they just turned the TV off and said I broke it.
Oh,
you know, like how like your mom makes you think that it's illegal to drive a car with that little light on inside, but it's just because like they get annoyed with it.
Yeah, you know what? That's funny because I've always thought that too.
Yeah, it's not illegal. It's just a light.
I mean,
it's just a light.
Yeah, I guess I don't need it on, but I literally don't turn it on because I feel like it's against the law.
Exactly. It messes with your head.
Wow.
I think that's what they did
I've
to me.
been lied to my whole life. Awesome. Thanks, Mom.
You are now woke, sir.
I am woke.
You are woke.
Hashtag car lights. Yeah, when the eclipse hits, the human world will be absorbed into the Netherworld. Like I said, there's nether spirits coming through this open gateway, and they all look the same. They're just flying spirits coming through and bothering people, possessing people, bringing out their true natures, I guess, with greed and corruption. Talpa also has a really cool giant sword.
Yeah, he does.
And he can breathe fire.
I would if I were him, like a big old dude like that.
But then he's fighting Ryo, and Ryo lights him on fire, like with his flare-up thing that he used to kill the guy in the first episode. And he's just like, all right, I'm just going to go jump in the water. And he does that. Like he just like goes and walks into the water.
Yeah, he's just like, hang on, I need to cool off real quick.
Yeah.
I sense things are getting a little heated between us.
Yeah, it's like, it's not like he's not acting like he's really hurt by it, but it's one of those things where he's just trying to act tough. He's like he's thinking to himself like, oh, this really burns, but I don't want to, I don't want them to know this burns. So I'm just going to go casually walk over to the water and jump in.
Right. On the inside, he's like, ow, ow, ow.
Yeah.
On the outside, he's just like not saying anything and just casually like walks to the water.
Yeah, exactly.
So like nothing's really working. So Ryo's like, I don't exactly understand what's going on, but he tells his friends to do something, and they turn into little balls of light, and they enter Ryo, and he gets this crazy white armor.
Oh,
and his white tiger turns black and gets crazy armor. But then the guys are back to where they were again, and just Ryo's got different armor and his tiger, and they start attacking Talpa again. And he does this crazy sword thing, and I guess thinks that he's going to kill Talpa. It doesn't work.
It's very cool, though. Like his Inferno armor, I think it's called. And
yeah, that's what it's called, the Inferno armor.
Yeah, it's like...
Even though it's white.
It's like a mixture of the all the other armors, I guess.
It's just kind of like white and reddish. Like there's some red accents, but
yeah, I mean,
it's got like the designs of it, though. Yeah, kind of mimic a little bit of each.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not like a literal mixture, but I mean, it is in that they all combine their forces to help him create that armor, but they still have their armor too. So it's like, I guess they just give him a little bit of power. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is their secret weapon, and it was, I'm sure, introduced long before this to help them with, unwinnable battles. But and
it didn't work.
No, and so they're fighting him, and then like he figures out that he has to use this one attack.
Yeah, this is my favorite part of the whole thing.
Yeah, his plan is to just like he
basically turns into a ghost.
yeah. I didn't know even how to describe it.
Yeah, he just enters Talpa's body. Talpa can't move. And my favorite is Talpa's like, "Stop, you're polluting my evil."
Yeah.
He speaks through Talpa, and he's telling his buddies to like strike Talpa down. And they're like, "Well, what about you?" And he's like, "Don't worry about it, just do it." So this is weird too. So it shows like each of the guys like going to attack, but then it like shows them through their armor, and instead of wearing armor, they're like naked but covered in different colored flames, and they're all crying.
Yeah. Like this is
oh my god.
It's like if we had seen this scene first in the intro with all the rose petals and things flying around would have made sense, because it is literally like you said, like you're not even exaggerating. It's they all jump in with their weapons, tears are streaming down their face, and then their armors just come off and they're completely naked as they jump to help him. It's like what is this? What am I watching now?
I know, I was laughing so hard because I couldn't believe, like, what is this? But they split Talpa straight in half, like straight down the middle.
Yeah.
And he like peels apart, but then, and they think they killed Ryo, and then he just pops out and he's like, "Awesome." Well, and they're all clothed again.
He doesn't just pop out. It's like, so he is a soul of virtue. Yeah. And so that's what's corrupting Talpa's evil, or polluting his evil. And then, yeah, Yuli's just like, he's just like, "No, save Ryo." He has some necklace on, and I don't know if the necklace's sole purpose is to save Ryo at this moment, but it just...
Yeah, who knows?
It jumps off of him, and it's also a ball of light, and like goes in and
pulls Ryo out.
Ryo's resurrected. Then like the humans all start to come to as another spirits leave, and they're just like, "Why are we holding a bunch of rocks?" Because it looks like what it looked like to us was just like rocks were falling from the sky, and the humans were just like fighting over them. Like they were so greedy that they wanted these rocks to themselves. And so now that evil no longer exists, like we can return to the Netherworld, is what the rest of these guys. What's the girl's name? Kyra and the warlords. They go back to the Netherworld. So I guess they're going to lead the Netherworld peacefully. I don't know. And there's not a lot that I know about the Netherworld, but it's not a bad place necessarily. Talpa was just a bad dude as a leader. It sounds
like it would be bad, and it looked bad, but they're just cool, I guess. They're like, "Yeah, we're good."
I guess it just depends on who's in charge.
Then it's time for a nice round of rousing light baseball.
Okay, yeah, this is where
literally with a ball of light.
This is where the shark really got jumped here, because it's like it should have ended with them just like maybe laughing together,
like parting ways or
maybe
something.
Parting ways, maybe just relaxing after their battle. But instead, with that same light that resurrected Ryo, they start throwing it around, basically playing keep away from Yuli and playing baseball with it. And it's like, wow, that is the weirdest way to end a show.
Right in the middle of like downtown, like in the road.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make any sense. And all of their armor like turns into Letterman's jackets.
Yeah. So now they're regular teens again in high school. And the armor is not completely gone because whenever the world needs, the Ronin Warriors will be there.
And real quick, can we talk about the end credit music to like all of these episodes? It's literally just singing about happiness, which is so weird, especially after like, the first or second episode where it's kind of like a real dour ending. And then it's just like happy and all the kinds of stuff. And you're like, what?
That's a lot of a lot of these anime endings have those really like upbeat end credits, even if they're really dark shows.
Right. It's just so like, can you imagine if Castlevania went that way when we watched that?
I kind of wish it had,
it's like,
just so we could laugh.
It's
about
like,
it.
It ends with like Dracula eviscerating somebody, and then it goes to like some sort of like J-pop, like really happy preteen girls singing about happiness and butterflies and shit.
Singing about like happy vampires and stuff.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah.
Like it pulls some songs from Monster High.
Oh, that would be the best. That would be great.
Oh man. Well, Chris, looks like it's about time we bestow the Ancients' legendary armor to our inner kids so that they can help to save the world from the evil dynasty. But look, if we're being honest, they'll probably end up giving into the dark side, becoming Dark Warlords themselves, leading us on an epic crossover team-up with the true Ronin Warriors in order to stop our younger selves and free them from Talpa's evil grasp. Then we can see what they thought of the Ronin Warriors.
The Ronin Warriors are neat and all, but where do I get a pet tiger? That was way more cool. But anyway, I really like all the super armor and the fighting and all the cool supernatural stuff, even though everyone talks really stupid. But I gave this cartoon 3 bowls of glowy baseball cereal out of 5.
As cheesy as the English dub dialogue almost always is in 80s animes, this one included, I try not to let it distract me too much from the show itself. The fight scenes were great, the story is pretty simple but still enjoyable, and the concept of these fragmented armors representing different aspects of the spirit was very intriguing. Also, I appreciate most of the characters with the exception of Yuli and Mia. I get that it's great to have diversity in your characters, but why not make them actual heroes like in Gatchaman? Instead, they just felt like they were in the way most of the time. Bad dubbing and a couple seemingly pointless characters aside, I thought this was a very cool anime, especially once the Inferno armor came into play. Overall, I'd give Ronin Warriors 3.5 big bowls of fragmented spirit flake cereal out of 5, but recommend you watch the sub version for best results, unless you're looking for a good laugh and some interesting dialogue delivery choices. In which case, I recommend you watch the dub for the most hilarious results.
I really want to play some of that glowy base. Like, do we light a baseball on fire and play? Like, how do you think we accomplish this? Or was it like a light bulb that you just smacking around?
Yeah, no, I'm going to go with your first option. Let's light it on fire, and then let's play baseball at a gas station with this fiery baseball.
There we go. Like, yeah, we're in a gas station right downtown in the heart of the city.
I see nothing going wrong with this. Also, let's rent out a tiger so we can have him by our sides.
Yes. Oh, man. Yeah. We need to teach this tiger how to play baseball with a baseball that's on fire.
Of course. Let's get him some armor and everything. It's going to be great. We're going to be the next Ronin Warriors.
Can't go wrong. So do you have any final thoughts on Ronin Warriors?
I thought it was very cool. When I can look past the dubbing of it, and I would like to watch a subbed episode just to make sure, but I think that it's actually at its core a pretty great show. And like I said, the concept of it was very interesting. I like the armor idea, and I like that the bad guys weren't just black and white. They had some depth to them. For that reason, even the 3 episodes we watched, that gave us a pretty good cover of the overall story. I think there's probably a lot more in there, and they would have had to have fought some different enemies than just these same warlords every single time. So I'm curious to see what those were, and also to check out the OVAs, the ones that came out afterwards, to see what kind of sequels there were.
Yeah, like my thoughts pretty much echo everything you said. I thought the idea was really cool, but just, oh man, the dubbing was just so bad. And I mean, the voice acting wasn't done well. The translation wasn't done well. They obviously tried to take on characteristics of American television at the time, which was a mistake because it sounded ridiculous and it didn't sound genuine. But like I said, like the premise is cool. Even though I know how it turns out, I am interested in watching more because I want to know more about the history of the armors and the characters and want to see where Talpa came from and all that stuff. Like there's so much to it that I still need to unwrap so I can understand. But I'll definitely be watching this sub next time. I'm never watching this dub again because that was awful. But I mean, that said, though, the whole end of the series is stupid regardless. Like the baseball scene, man, there's just no excuses. And the naked crying on fire fighting is just, no, I'm sorry. That's just so stupid. But it was fun in how stupid it was. So, I mean, I still got some enjoyment out of that.
Yeah, I wonder if it would have been a lot more dramatic had we watched the subbed version in that scene instead of seeming just like a really weird thing to happen with naked dudes just jumping through crying. Maybe it would have made more sense.
I feel like naked guys wrapped in fire, like crying, is going to be weird no matter what. Like, no matter what the context is, it's always going to be weird.
I guess you're right. I'm trying to make excuses for it, but
you're just trying to make it work.
Maybe not.
But it doesn't work.
I'll watch this sub version and see if I feel any differently. I'll report back.
Okay. Report back in.
Yeah. Thanks, Will, for recommending this to us. We definitely had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, thank you, Will.
Naked crying dudes aside. But maybe even more fun because of these naked crying dudes.
I had fun. I mean, I wouldn't ever want to see that happen in real life, but.
And then the light baseball at the end. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. Now, I would love to see the light baseball, but just not any of that other stuff.
Well, yeah, because we're going to do it with fireballs and tigers.
Exactly.
And bears.
It's going to happen.
We're going to do it. Well, listeners, looks like our milk supply is now run dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. And next week, we'll be watching
Gargoyles, suggested via YouTube by 10410.
10410?
Yeah, like spelled out the number 10, TEN, but then the numbers 4, 1, and 0.
10410.
Would it be 10, 4, 10?
10410.
I don't know.
I don't know, but thank you.
You've confused us. You have stumped the show. We don't know what's happening anymore. We don't know what to do with our lives.
I'm confused, but Gargoyles is awesome, so you get a pass.
How do we carry on?
Yeah.
We'll carry on for Gargoyles.
We will. For Goliath.
Yes.
For
Goliath
Bronx.
and Company.
For Broadway. For Brooklyn.
Just start naming streets in New York and we got this thing.
For Hudson. For Xanatos.
Yes. I don't think that's a street. Maybe it is.
What is the female's name?
4th Street.
Yes. 4th Street. No, it starts with a D, I think. I don't know. We'll figure it out because we're going to watch it for next week.
We'll figure it out because we're going to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
We'll see you next Saturday.
Presented by Nerdsloth.
A place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.